listen in the morning. Jimmy Lakey on the radio. I got my coffee and cream. Jimmy's on the air. Wake up and start your day. Now go and tell all the neighbors, yeah. Then crank up the radio. There's infotainment, brilliance to get you on your way. Wake up and start your day with Jimmy Lakey. Jimmy Lakey.
Well, praise the Lord, I'm here. Aren't you happy? Welcome to the House of Lakey, everybody. Jimmy Lakey is my name. Glad to be here behind the microphone. Glad you're in front of the speakers. It's the way the glorious day the Lord has made, and that's how he intended it to start off. So welcome to the program. It's the 20th day of August, year of our Lord 2025. Got that right? To memorize that all by myself. Didn't even have to look at the teleprompter. Nope, not at all. All right, good to be here. You feel the same way, don't you? I know you do. Got a whole stack here of stuff we're going to get to. Actually, producer Chad and I know we have a show sheet that comes together, and every week and every day we have a show sheet. And usually it's only partially full now because usually producer Chad says, that story's been on there for 4 days now, 5 days, 5 months it's been on there. And at this point, we're just repeating the past. So sometimes we cleaned up the show sheet this week and started again. All right, good to have you here on the program. Don't forget, if you're new to the show, I'm Jimmy Lakey, unleashed. Say it again. Unleashed from the confines of corporate radio. And here we do streamcasting and podcasting together, and keep you updated on all the news of the day. Get you out of here in about 1 hour. We should be out of class, all right? So you'll get to have your morning snack time early, but glad to have you here. If you are new, all the platforms we're on. Rumble's gathering steam this morning. Instagram. Are we live on Instagram, Delilah? We're going live right now. All right, Instagram just went live. If you follow on Instagram, Instagram. You know, some of you do follow me on the facebook.com/Jimmy Lakey fan page. That's fantastic. You do. A lot of news links and stories go up throughout the week, but Instagram, a lot of fun memes. You follow it, just Jimmy Lakey. Let's dive into the news. Some stories I read in the news, and they're supposed to be big stories, and then I read them, and I wonder, why the heck is this even in the news? There's a story that they're trying to percolate and circulate out there that Donald Trump and Macron from France had a hot mic moment when it came to talking about when they were at the White House on Monday. Trump's comments came Monday during a meeting with the European leaders. Looks like he's trying to secure a peace deal between Russia and Ukraine. Let me read the story, and you tell me if you think this is a news story. President Trump was heard in a hot mic moment whispering to French President Emmanuel Macron that he believes Russian President Vladimir Putin wants to make a peace deal for the U.S. leader, remarking the hunch even sounded crazy to him. Here's the quote that was picked up on a hot mic. I think Putin wants to make a deal. I think he wants to make a deal for me. You understand that? As crazy as it sounds? That's the controversy. On a hot mic, Donald Trump leans over to Emmanuel Macron from France and said, listen, is your wife a man? No, he didn't say that. He said, I think Putin wants to make a deal. I think he wants to make a deal for me. You understand that? As crazy as it sounds? Where's the controversy? What they're saying is that Putin wants to make a deal for Trump. And so they're kind of taking a meaning into that phrase that probably is not intended. But nevertheless, it's a headline news story on the foxnews.com website. It's a crazy headline, a hot mic moment. And I'm thinking a hot mic moment like, I don't know, a hot mic moment of something nasty, something dirty, something controversial. But that is what the hot mic moment was. I think Putin wants to make a deal. I think he wants to make a deal for me. You understand that? As crazy as it sounds? Am I missing something in the context of this? Top European leaders converged Monday at the White House when Trump was held highly anticipated meeting with Volodymyr Zelensky in hopes of brokering the peace deal. Trump spoke with the European leaders. They went on, security guarantees for Ukraine, etc. But the big takeaway is that Fox News is saying that because he said he wants to do a deal for me, as crazy as that sounds, they're thinking that Donald Trump thinks the deal is all about him. Maybe it is about Donald. I don't know. Sometimes I read headlines and I go, why is that even a headline? Why is that a news story? Except let me go back to my premise that we operate oftentimes on this program for. The most dangerous and horrible thing that ever happened in America, well, one of them, not the, one of the most dangerous things that's affected our modern culture, society, and politics is the 24-hour news cycle, because you have new websites and newscasts that make a whole big story. Can you see that flowing across the bottom of the screen? Breaking news, Fox News alert, going across the bottom of the screen. Why? Because they need to keep you listening. Coming up, breaking news, Donald Trump got on a hot mic. Oh, is this another grab him by the kitty cat comment? Yeah, that's what you're thinking, right? No, that's the quote. But again, just because you see it, but the problem is, my friends, people read headlines, people don't consume the entire story, or people read the very first paragraph, or they draw a conclusion by the headline, and then therefore they think they are well read and think they have a news story memorized into their heart. So again, just beware of the headlines out there. But if somebody can tell me what the Trump and Macron hot mic moment was and why it's controversial, I would love to hear you say that to me, because I just can't figure that one out. All right, got another story that is quite interesting. It's an Amy Coney Barrett. She's a Supreme Court justice. This is, again, why do we read the news when they're not going to give us any news? Ready? Headline: Justin Barrett teases new memoir in abrupt conference exit. Ready? She showed up at the seventh, what was this called? The Seventh Circuit Judicial Conference. And this is, again, Fox News. Her remarks were short. Those short are optimistic. She urged the court to keep their sense of camaraderie and professionalism. Despite inevitable sharp disagreement, she said that is what enables the justice system to work. She talked to the crowd, smiled fondly as she remembered her time serving on the Seventh Circuit, where she served for several years prior to her nomination to the Supreme Court. She then introduced the next speaker, who walked to the stage, and just as quickly as she had gone to the stage, Amy Coney Barrett exited the ballroom, and she was gone. They said she was on the stage for 3 minutes. Well, what they don't answer in the story, and again, this is where modern journalism is dead, they don't answer the story is how long was she supposed to speak for? How long was she slotted? Was she just there as a guest speaker? Was she a headliner? Or maybe her job was to go out there for 2 or 3 minutes, opine, we have a celebrity appearance, I can't stay long, guys, but here's our next speaker. They don't define what her role was supposed to be. If the conference organizers were horrified, it's just the media says, oh my God, she was only up there for 3 minutes. And then what do they do with the headline? They draw a conclusion in the headline. Justice Barrett teases new memoir in abrupt conference exit. They never give a quote about anything she said about having a memoir come out. Again, my friends, I don't care where you're getting the news. I don't care if you're getting it at CNN, NBC, ABC, Fox News. Some of you, I got friends that want to watch the Newsmax all day. I don't care where you're watching the news, my friends. You're getting played. You're getting manipulated into thinking some stories are bigger stories than the other, and you shouldn't get played like that. Don't do it. Again, 2 headlines from our beloved Fox News. We love the Fox. And but it's just amazing. I got those 2 stories last night. I pulled them up on the computer when I was doing a little show preparation and research and reading. And I read them. I said, oh, these are going to be great stories to lead with. And yet they're actually absolutely, I hate to say the phrase, nothing burgers. There's no, I hate this phrase, hate it, but there's no there. There's 2 headlines right there that I thought were going to be juicy and tantalizing stories. And one was a hot mic moment, and one is Amy Coney Barrett being a tease. And evidently neither one of them amounted to what we said, a hill of beans. So again, 24-hour news cycle. A lot of it is classified as just simplified. It's bait click, and be very, very careful. And for goodness sake, turn off the television. Turn off your news alerts on your phone all the time. Set a time aside in your life. This is Jimmy Lakey, Tony Robbins moment, self-help. Set a time in your life once or twice a day. Check in on the news, whatever. But don't sit there and scroll your dang phone all day and do that. Stop it. You're not changing anything. You're just working yourself up, and you're playing into their media play where they just have to have eyeballs. The reason they put the Amy Coney Barrett story up there is they want you to click on it. They need you to spend time. They can raise their advertising rates on the website. The reason the hot mic moment is played up as some breaking news story, which there's really nothing there, is because they need you to read it and scroll down and a lot of paragraphs and 14 ads in between before you get to the next paragraph, and therefore they make their ad money. That's what it's going for. You're being played for revenue. That's what you're being played for, not information. You're being played for revenue. I see my title on the screen today, and that could be an appropriate title because of the way we start the show. It's, it disappeared on my screen now. I don't have the right monitor for what we're doing. Rant, vent, repeat. Yeah, that's like wash, rinse, repeat. Yeah, I just vented and ranted. Again, turn off the news. I got played by Fox News. My two headline stories that I think were big deals. Here's a story that should be a very, very big deal. And I don't say that hyperbolically. I don't say this because I want you to just keep listening. This is a story that's going to tell you a heck of a lot about American politics. It's going to tell you a heck of a lot about the state of Colorado, and it's going to tell you a lot about the deceitfulness and expose, not in that kind of way, Jared Polis, the governor of Colorado, who has wreaked tyranny on the state of Colorado for 7 years, and he wants to perpetrate that same tyrannical dynasty with his first husband, Marlon, and become the first, he wants to become the president of the United States. And I warn all of America, listen, don't ever believe when Jared Polis speaks to governor of Colorado currently and soon to be presidential candidate in the next few years. I'm guessing he's going to run out there and do it. I got to tell you, you never believe when this guy's speaking. You don't believe. He's a disingenuous jackwagon. And I will play a news story here in just a moment that will illustrate that. So again, this is not one of those hyperbolic, watch this story, this is the biggest story ever. This is actually a big story, and I'm going to share it with you here in just a moment. Before I do, may I give you the question of the day? A lot of you like to respond on the question of the day. Producer Chad and I were speaking before the program as we were chatting and yipping it up and beep, 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 beep. That's Producer Chad. Beep, 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 beep. And I was beep, 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 beep. We do that. I don't know what's that. It just came to me. It was probably not good that it did. We were talking about leftovers. You ever go to the restaurant, you get some fries, you get some onion rings, you get a burger, you get a taco, you get an enchilada, you get some spaghetti. I don't know what you get. You order the restaurant, and you have leftovers. It's really good. You can't eat the whole thing. You say, could I get a box, please? Or some of the restaurants will box it up. Could you box this up for me? They'll box it up for you. Take it away. Take away. And you bring it home, and it makes the car smell good sometimes. And you stick it in the refrigerator, and the next day you look at it and go, yeah, I'm not going to do that. And the next day, yeah, okay. And then it starts growing hair. It starts looking ugly. It starts stinking up the refrigerator. And where does it go? It goes to the trash. So you went all of that trouble. You got the takeout box. You go all the way home, and you never eat it. Anybody ever do that? Here's the question of the day. What percentage of time do you actually eat your restaurant leftovers? What percentage of the time when you take a takeout box at home, what percentage of your time do you actually eat them? Now, when I cook, and it's rare because I live here at the Lakey estate with a great moat and a big house, and it's just me, unless my son's home from college. So I don't cook all that often. Probably should cook more. It's just not fun to cook for. It is fun to cook for one, but it's a mess, and you get the idea. But sometimes I will eat my own leftovers. I have some stuff that I made in the refrigerator. When I get back to the kitchen and from the studio, and I get back to the home, I'm going to, guess what? I'm probably not going to eat it. I eat my own leftovers if I cook it, usually. And not all. That's a generalization. But I would say 7 times out of 10, as well-intentioned as I was, that I bring leftovers home, I bring a takeout box home, as well-intentioned as I was, it's a lot of food, a lot of money for a Wednesday night dinner at $50 or $30 or whatever, but it's 2 meals, and then I never eat it. What percentage of the time do you eat your leftovers? Jim says 90%. He brings a takeout box home. He eats it. Cody says, what leftovers? Well, what leftovers do we have? Cody cleans his plate. How many of you grew up with that thread? You better clean your plate. And now we realize that's probably helped a lot of childhood obesity that we all were forced to clean our plate. Rarely eat restaurant leftovers. Normally goes in the trash a few days later. See, I think this is what a lot of folks do. A lot of folks put it in the trash a few days later. So what percentage of time do you eat your leftovers? Jeff says 98%. I'm that cheap and grew up not to waste. I even eat my wife's leftovers. Well, again, to each his own. I'm saying that I hardly ever, 7 times out of 10 probably, leftovers get in. Have you ever had a meal at a restaurant and you take it, bring it home, and you're like, what was I thinking? Why did I bring this home? You thought you're like bringing half the burger home, which, by the way, burgers never get eaten up because you can't heat them up. Producer Chad was talking about this earlier. you can't reheat them. The bread's soggy. It's just nasty. Or how many times have you thought, man, I got a full meal here, and you open it up the next day and you're like, oh, why did I even buy that's like a chicken nugget, not a chicken breast. You realize you ate more of your meal than you thought you ate, and you boxed it up, and you really didn't even bring enough for an afternoon snack. So there's your question. Rich says about 90% of the time, if it doesn't get eaten, it goes to the pigs, and then I guess I will eventually eat it that way. That's true. Bacon. Scott says he eats his leftovers 80% of the time. See, I'm part of that range, 70 to 80% I do. Or Loa says they always eat their leftovers. So good for you. When you go to the restaurant, what are your habits with your leftover food? Do you actually eat it, or does that little box or that Chinese takeaway thing or that styrofoam, does it just sit in the refrigerator and go, never mind, that was a bad idea? That's your question of the day. So now I expect all of you on all the platforms to participate by giving me an answer of the day. Thank you, and you're welcome. I appreciate you doing that. We are live on the Instagram this morning. IG sometimes gives us a problem. We may not be on the Instagram forever because I don't think we get much out of that, and it's often problematic. And I know that we're talking to people that live in their mother's basement and are weird. No, just kidding. The hipsters I love Instagram. Instagram's a great platform. I think it's a fun platform, and a lot of great memes that we steal from Instagram, by the way. All right, let's get back to the news story that I told you about, that this is a big news story. Forget the one about Amy Coney Barrett. Forget the one about Trump's hot mic moment, which there was nothing there. This is a big story. You ready? Big story, my friends. Big story. And I mean that sincerely. This is a story that this was a national news story. I chose to play the Fox 31 version. I'm going to play it for you. Fox 31 in Denver, telling the story of 30 arrests that were recently made by Tom Homan and ICE and the ATF in the Denver and Aurora area. And these were some very violent and nasty hombres. We're talking murder for hire. We're talking beheadings. We're talking some very nasty stuff that they were doing. Some were arrested still in the Colorado area. Some had already fled back to Colombia. But it's some very nasty stuff here, and you can look up the story on a lot of different newscasts. But I want to play it for you because I want to back up in time. Some of you were out of the state at the time. Last September, October, right before the election, there was some video that surfaced. Our buddy who's been on the program, John Fabricatori, helped install the cameras, and they were at an apartment complex in Aurora, Colorado. Some of you out of state, so you vaguely remember that. Those of us in the state of Colorado remember it distinctly. It was a big news story. There was a city councilwoman for the town of Aurora named Danielle Jurinsky, and Danielle was driving this to say, we have apartment buildings being taken over by gang members, and they had set up cameras inside, and we saw a very shocking footage of what was happening, and you're going to see some of that footage here in just a moment. And Governor Polis, Jared Polis, who usually, if he's speaking, he's disingenuous, he's lying, he's prevaricating, he's not a nice guy. I'm telling you, he's just not an honest broker. He's not, never has been. I wouldn't trust him to water my cactus in a desert. I just couldn't trust him. I think that's the more he's governed this state, and the crime rates he's a gaslighter extraordinaire. He says, the crime's not up in this state. Every statistic in the world says the state's cost of living, the crime has gone up. But Jared Polis lies. He's a lying Sacagawea. And you just need to know that. So when the story in Aurora, Colorado came out, Jared Polis said, talking about Danielle Jurinsky, the city councilwoman from Aurora, Colorado, Jared Polis says, this is all just kind of a figment of her imagination. Well, what do we say? It's he totally dismissed the cameras and said there are not entire apartment buildings being taken over. This was an isolated incident. Well, turns out by the news story that when the Trump administration got into office, you remember Donald Trump made Aurora, Colorado a campaign stop. They went to the Gaylord Hotel near the Denver International Airport, which happens to be across the street in the city of Aurora, and it became a big deal. Aurora, Colorado. When I talk about Sherry Cree and I say you want to get the hell out of Aurora, Colorado, I tell you that because she can help you do that, or you want to move in. There's some nice places in Aurora. It's called Parker. So all that said is Jared Polis, rather than going, wow, that's horrible video. We've got to protect our citizens. We have people living in this apartment complex that need defense and need security. We got to solve it. Instead, Jared Polis, being a lying Sacagawea, a man that is dishonest as the day is long in the summertime, said this was a figment of the imagination. Well, guess what? ATF come in and arrest 30 bad hombres, more probably still to be arrested, in Colorado. National news reports say it wasn't a figment of Danielle Jarinsky's imagination. Tren de Aragua was setting up its national operations and was operating nationally in Aurora, Colorado. The national hub for Tren de Aragua, or they call it the abbreviation TDA, was in Aurora, Colorado. Has anybody in the local media asked Jared Polis to comment why he dismissed and said, we don't have gang problems, we don't have an immigration problem, we don't have a Tren de Aragua problem? Jared Polis said it was a figment of the imagination. Turns out Jared Polis, his honesty, his integrity is all a figment of his own imagination because he has none. And this is just one final example that Jared Polis is, by definition, we overuse the phrase gaslighting. Jared Polis is a gaslighter extraordinaire. I don't need to explain what the real meaning of gaslighting, but this is an example of it. There's a problem. It's not, it's not what you think you see. You're not seeing the right thing. That's the definition of gaslighting. Here we go. Let me play this. This is Fox News in Denver. This is their local account of the story in Aurora, Colorado. This is a big deal. It shows the immigration crisis. It shows what happens in sanctuary states like Colorado. It shows what happens with disingenuous jackass governors like Jared Polis, Gavin Newsom, J.B. Pritzker, etc. You ready for this? This is the story. This tells you so much about immigration. Remember, these are just poor people that want to come pick the crops for us. Who's going to make our beds? Well, the better question here is Jared Polis, who's going to chop off our heads? Tren de Aragua. Watch the news story, and then remember everything the media has been telling you, or the Democrats have been telling you about these poor little immigrants that come in here and they're just trying to make an honest living. No, there's a lot of dangerous criminals that have been in this state, and Jared Polis has brought about criminality, and he supported it. Jared Polis is not for law and order. Jared Polis is a fool. And watch this.
A new reaction after 30 people, including several suspected members of the notorious Tren de Aragua gang, are arrested in Aurora on federal charges.
People we talked to who now live at the now infamous Ivy Crossing apartment say that they're glad that it happened. Fox 31's Shaw Turner is live in Aurora tonight with the very latest here. Shaw?
People across the nation have been watching what's been happening in this neighborhood since last October, when an increase in crime was linked to gang activity. It is something that the Trump administration has said it wants to stamp out across the nation, and law enforcement says they're not done yet.
Has not only targeted those who bring harm to our neighborhoods, but has also strengthened the foundation for a safer and more hopeful future for the families in Ivy Crossing.
A months-long investigation netted the arrest of 30 people, including those suspected to be members of the Tren de Aragua gang, controlling an area where families say they feared for their safety. One resident telling Fox 31, "I feel more secure and everything is more tranquil." A months-long investigation netted the arrest of 30 people, including those suspected to be members of the Tren de Aragua gang, controlling an area where hardworking families feared for their children. One resident telling Fox 31, "A lot of violence here in these apartments, and these were the most peaceful apartments here in Denver. The police had to take things in their own manner, and well, all this is already calming down." 69 firearms were seized. The U.S. Attorney's Office says 24 of the suspects are in custody in the U.S. 2 others were arrested in Colombia. The U.S. Attorney for the District of Colorado, Peter McNeely, announced 2 multi-count indictments include federal charges of drug trafficking, firearms offenses, and murder for hire. The coalition of law enforcement agencies uncovered what they say was developing into a brutal transnational operation and send this strong message to criminals in Colorado.
We've disrupted a dangerous cycle of violence, preventing further harm to our communities and sending a clear message to criminal networks. We will bring you to justice.
And the Arapahoe County Sheriff saying that crime has in fact dropped 75% since these efforts began several months ago. Now, when I come back at 10 o'clock tonight, a look at facts just revealed.
All right, let's pull that down. That's the end of the story. She's teasing another story that I did not pull down. What did you hear there? I like Jim's comment. It's on the screen. Look at that. Polis, Jared Polis, the lying Sacagawea that he is. Jared Polis is a disgrace to the state. He's a disgrace to the governor's office. He's a disgrace to people who voted for him that were living in Aurora that obviously were being held hostage by terrorists. And Jared Polis said there's nothing to see here. Notice it takes the ATF, it takes the federales under President Trump to come in and arrest these guys, because back in October, when everybody was scared poopless and everybody's watching the videos, Jared Polis says that's a figment of your imagination. He's a condescending son of a gun, and he should be embarrassed and ashamed and hopefully judged by the Almighty for the misery that he caused the people in Colorado and the people in Aurora that lived in suffering circumstances and were harmed, injured, and killed because Jared Polis wouldn't do a thing. What did Jared Polis do? There's nothing to see here, nothing to see here at all. Jared Polis said it's a figment of your imagination, and then you find out the federales come in and say, not really, there's murder for hire. Here's the proof. They had undercover cops move in there. They had undercover agents. They're not giving all the details of their investigation, but they basically have all the evidence in the world. I watched that last night. I've been reading this story all week, and I want you to know that Jared Polis is a disgraceful governor. And all of you outside of the state of Colorado, if you ever hear that he is running for governor, I don't know if you should run more from Jared Polis or Gavin Newsom or J.B. Pritzker. He is right up there with the top of the evil and the schemers in the Democrat Party. Again, that is a big news story. That is a huge news story. And some of you out there watching this program probably have voted for Jared Polis. But go back and read what Jared Polis said in October about Tren de Aragua. And there's nothing to see here. That's a figment of Danielle Jurinsky and John Fabricatore's imagination in Aurora, that those apartment complexes had not been taken over. Turns out they had. And turns out when he said, we don't have a gang problem, Tren de Aragua, the news stories in this, most of the news stories are accounting that Aurora, Colorado, and in Jared Polis's Colorado, they were so comfortable here because they had a derelict governor. They were so comfortable here, and they knew they weren't going to get deported. They knew they weren't going to get arrested. They knew that Jared Polis was saying, don't look. It's almost like Jared Polis was a gang member running front for him almost. It's like, hey, there's not really a gang over here. There was a gang, and they were building up their national headquarters in Aurora, Colorado, according to ICE and the ATF organization. So again, I play that news story for you from Fox 31. There's a lot of them out there. I just chose that one. There's a heck of a lot. They give a lot more detail about what Tren de Aragua. But any of you in the state of Colorado last October that said, oh, you Republicans, you conservatives are just trying to make a political issue about immigration because you're racist. No, we were tired of people being beheaded around America, in Colombia, and coming into Aurora. We were standing up for people. And all of you people who believed Jared Polis back in October that this was a figment of the imagination, I'd like to have your apology, or else you go check yourself into a home and a padded room and never be seen again because you drank the Kool-Aid and you're a fool. I told you it's a big news story. Tren de Aragua was setting up their national operation right here in Colorado while the governor sat by and watched it happen and told you it wasn't happening. Guarantee you, Jared Polis knew that what happened in Aurora, Colorado was real. Jared Polis knew that these gang members, Tren de Aragua, were flooding into the state. They were coming here because Jared Polis was not going to do a dang thing about them, because Jared Polis was instead telling the populace of Colorado, there's nothing to see here. This is a figment of your imagination. And so Tren de Aragua felt protected by Daddy Jared up there, and they knew that old Jared was going to be an honorary gang member and help them out. And so all of you that believe Jared Polis at any time throughout his 7 years, you need to start unbelieving, and you need to let Jared Polis know that his lies cost lives. Jared Polis's lies cost lives, because rather than dealing with this in September and October, and by the way, the Aurora Police Department under separate leadership for months had been getting calls to that apartment complex, and the police would not even show up there. So this wasn't something that it just happened to get caught on camera by Danielle Jurinsky, or released by Danielle Jurinsky and John Fabricatore and some members of that residents of that apartment. It only got caught on camera in September, October. The complaints had been coming in for a long time, but law enforcement didn't do anything. They knew they'd catch an illegal. What are you going to do? Jared Polis had signed a bill that you can't do much with an illegal. If you commit a crime as an illegal, matter of fact, remember on Interstate 70, Laura Carno talked about this Yesterday, you have an illegal with a commercial driver's license, similar to the story we're hearing about now in Florida. You have an illegal with a commercial driver's license coming down the mountains, and anybody's headed east on I-70 into the Denver metro area. Know that there's all these signs that say steep incline, truckers, keep your brakes cool. I mean, there's all sorts of, it's a very dangerous descent out of the Rocky Mountains and the Continental Divide back down to the Denver, in the Metro Valley area, right? It's a big descent. You got to know how to drive it. Your car can get moving in the trucks. They have runaway truck ramps in that area because of that reason. Guy plows in, hits the Denver metro area near Golden, heading towards Arvada. He can't get his truck to stop. His brakes have failed because they overheated. The traffic has stopped. He can't stop. So what does he do? He plows into the traffic jam, kills lots of people in a big traffic accident and injury. And Jared Polis gets a call from celebrities, and he commutes the guy's sentence and says, oh, the guy got like life or something. He got a big time, and basically almost let him off the hook with a slap on the wrist. You know why? Jared Polis does not value the lives of Colorado. Jared Polis seemingly wants to protect criminal illegals and Trende Aragua members more than he ever gives a rat's patootie about you in this state. That's a big story. And Jim says, remember, the Colorado Secretary of State, Jenna Griswold, has allowed undocumented individuals to set up registered businesses in Colorado. This is true. Somebody commented earlier, Jared Polis said he's going to bring in the Trende corporate headquarters and recruit them. Turns out he did. He brought in the Trende Aragua gang member to set up their corporate headquarters. This is a story that should resonate anywhere out there. First of all, in Colorado, know that you've been played by this dumbass governor. And outside of the state, we're giving you fair warning, sounding this clarion call of freedom that when you see Jared Polis's name on any ballot, nominated for any position on any television show or anything, he's lying. He's an absolute lying Sacagawea, and you just need to know that about him. By the way, it brings up, we're going to go to my guest, Michael Letts, back on with us twice in a week. That's a big time for me. My heart's palpitating just thinking about this. So please hold. Michael Letts is in the green room out, I believe now. And do you hear that this guy that did the illegal U-turn in Florida and killed that family of three in the minivan? It's been all over the news this week. He was an illegal. He got a commercial driver's license, CDL, from California. He also got one from Washington State. When the investigators finally arrested him, they're going to extradite him back to Florida. When they arrested him, they gave him a test to see. They went back and looked at his driving test. How did he get a CDL? How did he get his commercial driver's license? They looked. He failed it. In California, he failed the dang driver's test. He failed the English proficiency part of it, and he also failed the traffic sign part of it, where they said, do you recognize the traffic signs? It's becoming a very serious issue that states like Gavin Newsom's California and Jared Polis's Colorado are giving these illegals passes and driver's license, and you have to wonder, did they really pass the driver's test? And it's all fun and games until someone dies. Let me give you an example. I mentioned this in brief the other day. I Uber a lot. I travel a lot. I back and forth to the airport a lot. And there's been more times than not recently I've gotten in cars and an Uber, and the driver does not habla inglés. They hola that, and that's fine. I travel all around the globe. That doesn't bother me at all. But there's one time in particular that I knew the road was blocked, has been blocked off for some construction. There were clear flashing signs, detour, 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 and this guy couldn't speak English, and he blasts past the detour and winds around him because his map said go this way, but he couldn't read the sign that said stop, detour that way, and he just kept going, and I guarantee you he couldn't read the signs. And I will and I'm going to tag this out on the social media today, Lyft and Uber need to be tagged on this, and they need to make sure that their drivers are not these illegals that have driver's license because Gavin Newsom and jackwagons like Jared Polis gave him a driver's license. Really, it's not just a guy coming down Interstate 70 plowing down a bunch of people in Colorado a couple of years ago. It's not just a family of three in the minivan. You may be in the back of a Uber ride not knowing that this person got a driver's license because Jared Polis and Gavin Newsom gave him a driver's license because why? Well, because we want to. That's a problem. All right, ladies and gentlemen, Trende Aragua, the capital of Trende Aragua, Colorado, the headquarters of TDA, Jared Polis's Colorado, their chairman, gangster emeritus, Jared Polis. he lied and said it's a figment of the imagination. All right, I've been wound up a little bit, haven't I? All right, let me get back to my guest here. Michael Letts is waiting for me to shut up so he can come on the stage, but I told you at 15 after the hour, I had a big news story, and I was passionate about it, so there, you have it. Michael Letts, good morning, sir.
Well, good morning, Jimmy. I don't want you to stop at all. You're telling it exactly the way it's supposed to be told.
How many of these illegals have killed people? I mean, they're killing people driving cars.
You know, what's shocking to me, Jimmy, is those stories, as you say, are bad enough, but we know for a fact these Tren de Aragua, have decapitated people here in this country and then gone and moved on to another area, and nobody's done anything about it. I mean, it is literally guerrilla warfare down in this country, and we're doing it on our own soil. And, if they want to play that kind of game, I'm all for it, Jimmy. But better think you got plenty of body bags, because when we go out to play, we play for keeps.
Yeah, you follow this story. Aurora, in Colorado, they arrested 30 members of Tren de Aragua. October documented John Fabricatore, who used to run the ICE field office, and Danielle Jerinsky, who was a city council member. He told them, this is all a figment of your imagination. The news media was running the tapes, and he says it's imagination. This is not a real problem. It turns out that TDA's headquarters in America was in Colorado, and our governor did nothing, absolutely nothing. Michael, I'm telling you that I'm hoping that this family can sue California for everything that it's worth for giving this guy a driver's license. You sue the state of Washington. At some point, these governments that are putting out these lawless policies that go against federal law, don't these states and cities and counties and politicians have to be held accountable? And one of the ways you do that is a lawsuit and pay up the billions. Bankrupt the damn state.
I would agree, Jimmy. One of the things that I have been saying for some time now that I think we need to step back and take another hard look at this time, we as taxpayers begin to sue our government, begin to sue the county, the city, the state, for if you're going to defund the police and I'm not getting what I paid for, I deserve a refund.
Yeah. Maybe hyperbolic, and I'll move on to a different topic. This one has me fired up, though. Jared Polis. Jared Polis should be sued and held accountable for, in October, not paying attention to the cries that were coming from Aurora. How many people died? And as you said, Michael, how many people were beheaded, had their heads chopped off, they could hand in a head for bonus money or something, and whatever they were doing. And Jared Polis said it's a figment of your imagination. There's nothing to see here. People died because he did nothing.
Well, what you're suggesting, Jimmy, what we know to be factually true, Tren de Aragua is one of the most violent criminal gangs in the country, in the world, for that matter. And that is how they are able to accomplish what they can, is they're not interested in just stealing from you, shooting you if you get in the way. They want to make examples. They want to drive fear in the hearts of people. And that's how they do it. They dismember bodies. They put them in a position where the community knows what happened to them. And that's the kind of thing that this country has never really experienced before. It happens in third world countries. Well, that's what Biden wanted this country to be, was a third world country. We're trying to save it, but we've got a long way to go. And thank you for what you're doing, Jimmy, to proclaim the truth.
I've just had this thought, and I know the people in the chat room are going to run with this, but I'm going to avoid the question, but the answer. But I think it's funny. Where does Jared Polis have his Tren de Aragua tattoo? He's wearing his tat somewhere. And don't say tramp stamp, because someone really tacky would say that. Don't say that. All right. Sorry.
I love it.
Yeah. All right. Michael Letts is my guest. InvestUSA.org. InvestUSA.org. All right. Let's get another story nationally, which these are both national. Tulsi Gabbard came out yesterday and said, hey, there's 30-something people that we're going to revoke their security clearances that have been working in different agencies in America, FBI, etc. And I'll let you kind of tell the story. It looks like the deep state is finally maybe getting a little bit of retribution.
A question, instead of using the word retribution, I'd say they're getting justice. Because here's what has happened in the past, Jimmy. We all know it. We've known it for years. Now we've got the documentation to prove it. Is we have had agents that have turned on their country. They become treasonous, and they've used their access to power, access to intel records and other things to begin to distort the truth, to turn the truth the way they want it so they can accomplish it in goal. And then they've been able to get away with it. And now, unfortunately, for their stupidity, they've left their fingerprints all in the crime room. We know who they are. And now we're going to come back and make sure that they face justice. The first step is we're revoking all their clearances. It's just the beginning, Jimmy. Now that we revoke their clearances and shut it down, now comes the good part. Now we break out the cuffs, the bamboo sticks, you know. I could go on, but you probably wouldn't want me to. And we're going to find out what they really have been telling our enemies and combatant enemies.
I think that's the next question, and I maybe you heard what Tulsi said or know more what Tulsi's thinking. They revoked the security clearances immediately. You can't do that. How many of these people are still employed by the government, or how many of them have already moved on? Can they be fired? And we know that there's a grand jury looking into this grand conspiracy. Is there a grand jury or somebody looking? Are these people part of that grand conspiracy, or is this possibly a separate prosecution, do you think?
Well, that's a good question, but let me answer it in a way that we can without divulging too much. There are multiple grand juries. We have multiple investigations going on, some very specific oriented, some more generally oriented. This is more in the generalization area because of the fact we know that they leaked their national security secrets. We know that they took efforts to divulge information that is classified. And so that is a separate issue that we're going to be dealing with a separate grand jury. Their tie in to like Russiagate and others depends on what information they divulged and what actual other case it tied into as to whether they get tied up into those cases as well.
The voice, if you're listening to the podcast version of this show, it's Michael Letts, investusa.org. If you're watching the show, you know that because it's been on the screen a little bit, but investusa.org. Tulsi's tweet went out. It said, being entrusted with a security clearance is a privilege, not a right. Those in the intelligence community who betray their oath to the Constitution and put their own interest ahead of their interest of the American people have broken that sacred trust they promised to uphold. And she goes on, and it's going to be interesting to see when the next shoe drops on this thing. Do you think that from the James Comey, the Brennans, the Clappers, these little low-level people, piddly people at the in the intelligence community, did they? I guess they thought they would get by with it, or if they ever got exposed, there'd be no accountability. Do you think maybe they're rethinking that thought of no accountability? I mean, obviously their dastardly deeds have been exposed, but do you think they're still thinking they're going to get by with this?
I think they're worth thinking that. I think they're beginning to have second thoughts now. Here's the way that they had been portrayed to them in the past. You do what we asked you to do, Jimmy. You give a few secrets here and there. Worst case scenario, we're going to pop you on the hand, suspend you for a little while. Oh, by the way, we'll make up for that. We'll give you plenty of extra money for what you do, and maybe revoke your security clearance. And you might be able to get it back in a few years. Now what they're finding out is that's the first step is we're revoking your security clearance, period. And quite frankly, on a little side note here, Jimmy, I don't know why, this is something we've been talking to the administration, why do you think you should keep your security clearance for life when you're no longer with the agency, you're no longer employed? I mean, it makes no sense to me. Why would you need access to national security secrets when you're no longer involved with an agency? That's an issue we're addressing as well. You shouldn't have your security clearance for life. You have it by the time you need the job. Once the job is done, you're no longer employed there, it should be gone. But that's what they thought. Now they're finding out that we mean business. Our first step is to reject your security clearance, to revoke it. Now we're going to take a look at the criminality aspect. And we will prosecute to the fullest extent of the law. And there won't be any deals cut. That's the position we've been taking because we're going to send a message. We're going to make it loud and clear. This behavior will not be tolerated, regardless of any political allies you think you may have.
It seems like every week Tulsi especially has been coming out and just declassifying documents, things that were done in secret. She's going to let the disinfecting light of transparency shine on it and let the stink be exposed. Are there more names coming? I would guess. I mean, these are 37 names, but I'm guessing Tulsi's not done with some exposing of the deep state.
Oh, she's just getting started. And yes, there's a lot more names to come. Here's the situation we're in behind the scenes. We have so much coming that's being uncovered, burn bags that weren't burned, things on servers that they thought they had erased and forgot to hit the wrong button. So much is coming to light. The question becomes, do we have enough prosecutors to prosecute it all? The answer to that is actually no. So we're having to figure out how to scramble here now, bring in additional personnel or additional people so we can keep the fluidity. We don't want there to be anybody that feels like, yeah, well, you caught me, but by the time you get to me, I'll be dead. We don't want that perception to be out there. We're going to find the people necessary to make sure the prosecutions are done in a timely manner. And what you're going to see is we're going all out to make sure that a clear message is sent. Kind of the day of accountability has arrived. The hammer of justice is here, and you want to make sure you don't ever get involved with that again.
There's another news story out there, Michael, that is about Adam Schiff. There's been talk about what Adam Schiff lied and how he misused the intelligence and misrepresented just all the naughtiness of Adam Schiff. Evidently, Democrats will oftentimes fundraising. I called Trump a bad name today. Donate to me. But Schiff has launched a legal defense fund. That's more than fundraising for his campaign. He claims that Trump is weaponizing the justice system, and Adam Schiff has created a defense fund because as Trump has found out that Adam Schiff was part of the Russia hoax. Let's talk about this Adam Schiff character. He has a feeling he's in some trouble. Again, it's one thing to do campaign fundraising off I hate Trump and donate to me, or I love Trump, donate to me. But this is different. This is not political fundraising. This is a legal defense fund. He's expected to need a lawyer.
Well, there's no question he does need a lawyer. We're talking about two separate issues, but both of them are very serious. The first issue is, of course, mortgage fraud. Now, you say, well, that's not a hanging if you're found, if you're convicted of it. No, but it's 10 years. It is a federal felony, okay? It's a felony, and it's federalized. So you're not going to get away with an overnight stay in jail. This is a very serious crime, and this was black and white. I mean, you signed the pieces of paper that stated false facts on the application, on both applications. That's your signature. You did it every year for decades. I don't know how you could argue your way around that one, Jimmy. What, you had dementia every time you signed it or something like that? Or you thought you were signing the kid's lunch note? I can't remember. It's just not going to happen. He knows he's going to get nailed for that. The second one becomes where you were chairman of the Intelligence Committee, and you were also on the January 6th committee. The January 6th committee, you help oversee the destruction of federal records for the committee. That's a crime. That is a federal felony. Again, you can't destroy property. I don't care if you're a congressman. I don't care who you are. Without the proper authorization, you just can't say, I don't think we need this anymore. Throw it in the garbage can. You better not make that decision. You come back to haunt you. He did that. Yeah. And then on the Intelligence Committee, he took classified information and said, hey, Jimmy, have you seen this lately? Let me tell you what's going on here. He did it. He made it up, actually, as chairman of the Intelligence Committee to make Trump look bad. But it was classified information at the time, and he put his spin on it and leaked it out, and he's going to pay for that one as well.
Now, what's going to be interesting is he was on that J6 committee as a House member, and those members of the House committee, January 6th, got a pardon by the demented poopy pants Joe Biden, or the auto pen, or whatever staffer was running the country. Is this going to be the case where the auto pen goes to court, or is the mortgage fraud not covered by his pardon? I mean, there's some sticky navigation here as to whether these pardons were legal and whether or not you just get to commit any crime and you're now pardoned from it.
Well, here's to answer your question. It goes into 3 stages. Mortgage, he doesn't have any immunity for. Okay, he doesn't have any pardon for. So he's going to get nailed there. January 6th, that pardon, as you said, was by an auto pen. He's going to pull his card out, and people are going to look at it and say, it doesn't even belong in the deck here. Let me tear it up for you. And then, of course, he will appeal that. But it appears now that the Supreme Court is leaning towards criteria is very clear. You can use an auto pen, but you have to be present when it was done, and you have to have full knowledge of what it's being used for. You're not going to prove either one of those for Joe Biden. He was never present, period. And second of all, he didn't have knowledge of it. His chief of staff did. Sorry, you can't pass the buck. You can't give your responsibility to somebody else. Those auto pen pardons are not going to withstand the scrutiny. They're going to be worthless.
It's very telling, my friends. You may not have heard the story. Adam Schiff has filed papers with the IRS that he's starting his own legal defense fund to defend against the prosecution he feels is coming. And you say, well, don't they always kind of raise money? No, this is not raising money for a campaign or re-election. This is he's trying to hire lawyers because he hears the boots of justice coming down the street for him. And again, another embarrassment of the state of California and the people that elected this guy. At which point do you think anybody will wake up that the California ever wake up up, they've elected Gavin Newsom, who seemingly can't tell the truth to save his life. You got Adam Schiff, who's doing all sorts of nefarious things. Man, how do these people vote out there on the left coast? I don't understand.
Well, I think they think it's a badge of honor to be the dumbest electoral, and I mean I say that with tongue in cheek, but the dumbest electoral body in the country. I think they think that's a badge of honor, and that's why they do that every single election time. But they also have some help. They're very good at stealing things, double counting votes, ballot box stuffing, mail-in ballot stuffing, et cetera, et cetera. So they get some assistance, but still, I just believe it must be in the water or something, Jimmy, because I sure don't want to. When I go there, I'm going to hold my breath, not eat anything or drink anything until I'm back out of California.
Well, if California is the dumbest electorate in the nation, which they seemingly are, electing Gavin Newsom, not just once, but twice, and all the lies he's told, and then Adam Schiff gets promoted to the U.S. Senate, not just to the U.S. House, Colorado better be thanking their lucky stars that California's out there being dumbasses, because we're definitely the first runner-up when it comes to stupid electorates, I'm telling you.
Unfortunately, there's a lot of them that are vying for that title. That seems to be the end thing now. But I think the rest of the country is getting smart and wise. We're rejecting that kind of philosophy.
Yeah. Hopefully, a lot of these places will start getting their heads right and hearts right. And again, rather than just looking at the merit of the case and say, Adam Schiff came out every day, and Democrats got their jollies off of it and said, I have evidence. I've seen the evidence that Donald Trump is a Russian agent. He said that over and over and over again. He still hasn't released that evidence because we now know there was none. That in and of itself at face value, you can hate the orange man all you want, but you got lied to, you got played, you got manipulated by Adam Schiff. And that in itself should bring the condemnation of his own party and his own followers. They should be angry that he played them like that. I mean, just tell me the truth. You don't like Trump, but don't be lying and making me think that we have some Russia conspiracy. But I haven't heard much condemnation for the lies that he told from people in his own party or people who voted for him.
And you won't, because of the fact that the whole party itself has gotten to the point, Jim, where they believe their own lies. That's the scary part. When you start actually believing your own lies and you can't differentiate between the truth any longer, boy, it's time to make sure we make some changes there. And the Democratic Party happens to seem to congregate and get them all in one shot. So what a mess.
What a mess. Michael, let's investusa.org. Michael, I'll give you a call this week. I got busy and I'm still busy, but I'll get back in touch with you. We talked this week. Michael, let's investusa.org. Tell us, what do you do with investusa.org for those who are new?
We make sure that all of our law enforcement officers have the necessary equipment to come home safely to their families. It's called an active shooter vest. Jimmy, we just lost an officer, I think it was the day before yesterday in Hawaii. Shot without a vest. She didn't have a vest, and she would have been saved if she'd had one. And so, unfortunately, we're seeing that almost daily across the country. Let's give our first responders the due respect that they so rightly deserve. If you can only donate $1, that's fine. Let's make sure that they understand that we have their backs, because they're certainly putting their necks on the line every day for us.
investusa.org. Michael, Let's, always a pleasure, sir. Great to have you hop on here again 2 times in a week. My heart's palpitating. I'm going to have medication.
Yeah, I was so excited. I said, wow, I must have, wore the right tie the last time or something. Thanks, Jimmy.
See you, brother. I'll talk to you soon. Michael, Let's, investusa.org. Investusa.org. Question of the day, leftovers. Remember that? So we had a question of the day earlier before I went on this tirade. When you go to the restaurant, you bring a box home. How often, what percentage of time do you actually eat your leftovers? So far, it looks like most people say about 80% of the time. Mexican, 90% of the time. Yeah, Mexican food, if you bring Mexican food home, it reheats nicely for some reason, because it's already just a big mess. And the tortilla is already soggy, so it doesn't matter. A hamburger you can't bring home and eat later. It just doesn't work. Half a hamburger, you can't. Now, there are a couple of places that I've eaten at, and I haven't been there in a while, but there's one place in particular that's a great chicken dish, and it's 2 small to medium-sized chicken breasts. And when they serve it, if I remember, I always say, could you just have them plate it 2 different ways, plate half of it in the to-go box and half of it, and that's my lunch the next day. I've done that on purpose, but most of the time when I save food at a restaurant, saying I get a to-go box, even my son would sometimes say, what's in the box, Dad? And he would eat it when he was at home. But a lot of times it just goes to waste. I think a lot of times to go, what they used to call them, a doggy bag. They used to have a bag, take it home with your dog. And so usually that's what we used to do. We called it doggy bags. People they fed their dog. Then you got told your dog has to be more healthy and make dogs healthy again. And Robert F. Kennedy got involved in. So now we don't call it, we just call it takeout. So what we used to take home to feed the dogs, now we put it in our refrigerator and we stare at it for about 4 or 5 days and then we throw it out. All right, glad to have all of you. There's your question of the day. What percentage of time do you actually eat your restaurant leftovers? For it looks like most people are coming about 70, 80% of the time. And if you would have brought it home for the dog like you should have, the dog would have eaten 100% of the time. Now, you might have regretted the carpet later on when the dog made a mess, but he did it. All right, good to have you here on the show. I want to remind you about our golf tournament coming up Friday, September the 5th for Rivers Promise. That's just a couple of weeks out, 2.5, not far away at all. Coming Friday, September the 5th at the Colorado National Golf Club. And you need to come join us and be a part of the program. Still people's registering, still some spaces available. Even we got a couple of holes that can still be sponsored. Jay Ratliff messaged me yesterday, and he's going to sponsor, he thinks, 3 more holes, he said. He's sponsored 6 already. He's going to sponsor 3 more, I believe. He was letting me know that he's traveling tomorrow, can't be on the show, but he says, I am going to sponsor holes, so don't bother me. I said, yes, sir. I won't. September 5th, register. Friday, September 5th, the Rivers Promise charity golf event. It's a fun time at Colorado National. And I say this to you meaningfully that even if you're not a golfer, it's fun. It's a fun day. Producer Chad will be there. Sherry Cree will be there. Lehman Lewis Financial Group will be there. I got a message from Alicia Lewis at Lehman Lewis this week, and she says she's looking forward to being there. And let me tell you, if you've ever seen us driving the golf cart, it's usually we kind of rotate around. I'm driving one. You never let Chuck Lehman start driving. Alicia will drive. And we just have a hoot. Chuck's been known to drive where they say, don't drive here. This is protected land. And Chuck goes off. And it's a fun time. We just go around and say hi, and it's going to be good. September 5th. Now, if you can't be a part of it, would you think about, pray about making a donation to the charity between now and then? Do it now. Sponsor holes one way to do it. Be a sponsor, or just make a general donation. It can't be at golf, but here you go. This is our biggest operational fundraiser of the year. We do 2 big events a year. Our casino night, which we just relaunched, in our golf tournament. And we do other smaller events and smaller things, but this is our big one of the year. And this is how we survive and operate Legacy Christian Academy whenever we got more kids in school than we have sponsors for. So it's we got needs out there. It's riverspromise.org to register the golf event Friday, September 5th. It's going to be here. Then you won't hear me talk about it for about 9 more months. So that'll be all right. But you're going to hear me talk about it every day until then. Friday, September the 5th, a charity golf event at Colorado National. Out-of-staters, come on in. We'll reach out to the office, info@jimmylakey.com. We can help you find a good accommodation that are close by, and we'd love to have you in here. Riverspromise.org, riverspromise.org. Get registered for the golf event. By the way, there's a veterans, first responder, and military discount. So if you or somebody on your foursome serve this country, we're happy to offer a discount for them, and as a way to say thank you. And we'd love to have you out there. So go check it out. Let us know if you have a question, info@jimmylakey.com or riverspromise.org. All right. Mentioning Aurora and Tren de Aragua, I want to remind you again, I want to play this news story one more time. This is Fox 31 in Denver, and this is the news story that sent me on an overheated diatribe in the early parts of this program because we were lied to in America, lied to by Democrats, lied to by people like Jared Polis, that, Jared Polis, we remember the Aurora, Colorado thing, of apartment buildings taken over, and we were told there's nothing to see here. There's nothing to see here. Absolutely nothing to see here is gaslighting, because there was something to see here. Tren de Aragua had set up in Colorado. Their national headquarters was here. And this is what happened this week. This is a national news story. This is the local take. And this is, again, talking about the 30 people who were arrested. But Jared Polis said they were a figment of our imagination. Jared Polis said there's nothing to see here. They're figments of your imagination. Danielle Jarinsky, an Aurora City Councilwoman, John Fabricatore, they're just lying. This is not really a problem. We don't have gang members or troubled illegals. We just have people wanting to pick the coconuts in Colorado. What are they trying to do? No, we had murderous sons of gun, murderous demons roaming the state, and Jared Polis ran cover for the murderous demons. Watch the story as Jared Polis is proven to be a liar.
A new reaction after 30 people, including several suspected members of the notorious Tren de Aragua gang, are arrested in Aurora on federal charges.
People we talked to who now live at the now infamous Ivy Crossing apartment say that they're glad that it happened. Fox 31 Shaw Turner is live in Aurora tonight with the very latest here. Shaw?
People across the nation have been watching what's been happening in this neighborhood since last October, when an increase in crime was linked to gang activity. It is something that the Trump administration has said it wants to stamp out across the nation, and law enforcement says they're not done yet.
Has not only targeted those who bring harm to our neighborhoods, but has also strengthened the foundation for a safer and more hopeful future for the families in Ivy Crossing.
A months-long investigation netted the arrest of 30 people, including those suspected to be members of the Tren de Aragua gang, controlling an area where families say they feared for their safety. One resident telling Fox 31, "I feel more secure and everything is more tranquil." A months-long investigation netted the arrest of 30 people, including those suspected to be members of the Tren de Aragua gang, controlling an area where hardworking families feared for their children. One resident telling Fox 31, "A lot of violence here in these apartments, and these were the most peaceful apartments here in Denver. The police had to take things in their own manner, and well, all this is already calming down." 69 firearms were seized. The U.S. Attorney's Office says 24 of the suspects are in custody in the U.S. 2 others were arrested in Colombia. The U.S. Attorney for the District of Colorado, Peter McNeely, announced 2 multi-count indictments include federal charges of drug trafficking, firearms offenses, and murder for hire. The coalition of law enforcement agencies uncovered what they say was developing into a brutal transnational operation and send this strong message to criminals in Colorado.
We've disrupted a dangerous cycle of violence, preventing further harm to our communities and sending a clear message to criminal networks. We will bring you to justice.
And the Arapahoe County Sheriff saying that crime has in fact dropped 75% since these efforts began.
That's the story. You hear that in Aurora, where there's criminally infested jackwagons, and a governor telling you that there's nothing to see here. The statistics say that since Donald Trump and Tom Homan started cleaning up the mess that Jared Polis and the Democrats allowed the state of Colorado to be in, crime has gone down 75% in those areas. Jared Polis and the Colorado Libs are, you think with all those guns, they'd want to get the guns off the street, right? But no, they want to get guns out of your house and my house. They want to get guns out of our possession, but they don't care if the gangbangers are roaming around with guns. If they get arrested, release them back. Don't let ICE have them. They keep those guns, but they take yours and ours away. Again, Jared Polis is exposed, in my estimation, in this news story to be the disingenuous sack of crap that I've always said he was. And a lot of people, well, he's more libertarian. You're a deceived fool if you've ever thought Jared Polis ever had an inch of libertarianism in him. And a lot of people, they don't do their research. They're not intellectual giants or intellectual midgets, or should we say intellectual little people, and they make wrong conclusions. Listen to me. I usually make the right conclusion. I was telling my friends that Fauci was a fraud before when Fauci was still out there with Dr. Scarf and Mike Pence, talking about 7 days or 14 days to stop the curve, or 2 weeks to stop the curve. I said, this is bull crap. And that's Dr. Fauci. He's a fool. And the fact that some people, if you got deceived in the early days by Fauci, I'm sorry, stop taking the pills they feed you. If you got deceived by the headlines I started the show with about Amy Coney Barrett or the story about Trump's hot mic moment, if you're getting deceived by that, and you're getting deceived, you're getting played, do better. We all got to do better. And the real story is Jared Polis, the Colorado Democrats, letting these gangbangers on the street, not just letting them, but and not just say, hey, we're looking into it. They said it's an imagination, figment of the imagination. The crime has gone down 75% because why? Jared Polis let it go on, and the Colorado liberals and the Democrats allowed it to happen as well. All right. Sherry Cree's a fantastic person, and she can help you make sure you don't move in next to a gang member. She can make sure you don't move into the apartments where Tren de Aragua. She can help you find out, hey, that's a great bargain over here, Sherry. They're selling houses cheap. Yeah, they are, but that's the crime rate in that area. She can help you just make the best decision. Sometimes you fall emotionally in love with a a house or a neighborhood or an area, and you still want to make the right decision. And what's a good long-term application for this? A house that's going to work out for my long-time real estate goals. Listen, have a strategy session with Sherry. Homeswithsherry.com. Homeswithsherry.com. Now, I know a lot of times that you're ready to sell. You're thinking of selling. You got some questions. Sherry is happy to be part of that strategy session. She's happy to kind of talk with you. She had somebody call her up a year or so after she talked to them, and they were just kind of interview realtors, right? There's a lot of realtors, and they had a great meeting. She liked them. They liked her. Follow up, no real response. A year or so later, they called her and said, hey, we're ready to sell the house now. She goes, oh, I thought you already sold it. I thought maybe you went with another real estate agent or decided not to sell. No, we strategized with you and realized you had some great points that now was not the best time to sell. And they came back a year later. Listen, homeswithsherry.com. If you're in the Interstate 25 corridor in Colorado, you owe it to yourself when real estate happens and thinking about it. Even if you're thinking next year, the next fall, whatever, call Sherry, have a strategy session. She knows that if you make the right decision in real estate, it can truly create generational health, generational wealth for you. And it can be something that is in and of itself a life insurance policy that blesses future generations. Homeswithsherry.com, and she's just a wonderful person. She'll be at our golf tournament. She was over 2 years ago for our Legacy Christian Academy ribbon cutting in Rwanda with us. She's seen the school. She supports the work of Rivers Promise, and she also supports the work of charity that you do. She's her and her husband host dinners at their home, all expenses covered for the charity, and they give money to the you bring donors to their house, and they feed them, and you raise money. They're fantastic people, and Sherry is top notch, and she's going to take, at the end of that transaction with you, she's going to take a portion of her proceeds, and if she takes a portion of her proceeds, she'll donate it to the charity of your choice. So you pick the charity, and she will donate that to your cause that you choose. Homeswithsherry.com. She loves if you're an elderly person out there. Maybe you're someone giving caretaking. You need a better facility to take care of an elderly parent or a spouse. She can help. She loves helping you find those right places for you to be a caregiver if that's your situation. Again, homeswithsherry.com. You owe it to yourself. Homeswithsherry.com. We'll have her on the program this week, and but reach out to her anywhere in the I-25 corridor in Colorado. Homeswithsherry.com. All right, it's time for the stolen meme section of the show. I said we'd get out of here on time today. I'm a little bit over time, but that's because I went on a very, very fantastic rant. As Donald Trump said, it might have been the best rant ever. Might have been the best rant. I can't do a Trump impersonation. Sorry. Round and round the globe we go. I should practice, though. Round and round the globe we go. Where we steal the memes from, no one knows. If I'm at the age where if you text me after 9 p.m., I'm texting back at 4:36 a.m. Anybody in that boat? Yeah, I feel that pain. I do. Round and round the globe we go. Where we steal the memes from, no one knows. I got to blow the screen up on this one. I got to get a new monitor situation here. My wife forgot to leave me the car seat to take our son to the babysitter's house. This is a picture I sent when she asked how I was going to get in there. I turned off my phone for the next 4 hours. Yeah, that'll teach her to take the car seat. Maybe you should have 2 car seats. I'm just saying. Just thought. Round around the globe. I know they're expensive. I know. Round around the globe we go. Where we steal the memes from, no one knows. When God sends you a sign. Look at the shadow on the shirt, my friends. Look at the shadow on the shirt. Shoot, I just look her in the eyes and I say, God's sending me a sign to run. No, they look evil. Sorry. Round around the globe we go. Where we steal the memes from, no one knows. Remember how 25 years ago we paid for ringtones? Fast forward to 2025 and my phone has been on silent for the last 8 years. Anybody remember that? Yeah, paying for ringtones. We want to do a show. Who do you have the most unique ringtone for? I know some guys that have special ringtones for their wives, and they're usually quite comical. Like something like Ding Dong, the Witch is Dead. Anybody have a special ringtone for a significant other? We should do that. We should find out what your ringtones are. Some people do. Still do. But mine's on silent. Round around the globe we go. Where we steal the memes from, no one knows. Everybody's taking a little lesson here. What I guess I'm trying to say is it's nice outside and you're not at work, just start day drinking. So, yeah, that's been there, done that. What I'm trying to say is if it's nice outside and you're not at work, just start day drinking. You don't got to tell me twice. Round and around the globe we go. Where we steal the memes from, no one knows. The moment you realize giving 110% gets you the same paycheck as Chad, who forgets to do his job. Anybody been there, done that? Yeah, you work your butt off, but you got some all week. We always have a Chad around. Forgetting to do his no. Actually, Chad does a lion's share. He does fantastic work. But yeah. Although he does sometimes run memes that are disrespectful of the Dallas Cowboys. So there is that. Round and round the globe we go. Where we steal the memes from, no one knows. Ladies and gentlemen, we have milked the meme machine dry. Chad gave 98%. One more would have put him at 104% of memes. No, just kidding. That's 100% of the memes. We're all done there. Don't forget, charity golf event coming up. September the 5th. I want you to be there. Tomorrow, we'll be back here. Good Lord willing, the creeks don't rise. I'll get to some of these stories. Matter of fact, let me tease. I'm going to put these top of the stories tomorrow. Democrat finances have dwindled. I went on a rant earlier this morning about Polis and the lies he tells. Democrat finances have dwindled after $15 million Kamala Harris bailout. I wonder how much of the Democrat money has also fallen because they stopped getting kickbacks from the organizations getting stuff for USAID. I will do this story tomorrow. Great news. You probably don't have the lowest paid job in America. Or do you? I've got another story here. A man has spent all of 2025, this is called You Need a Job and a Hobby, repeatedly buying and returning 110-pound anvils on Amazon. He buys the anvil, they ship it to him, he takes it and returns it, and we can talk about that story tomorrow. What else did I not get to? I've got that story. I just did that story. 21% of men get anxious over something. You know what they get anxious about? Why did every guy out there say sex? No, they get anxiety over something, right? Okay. And I'll tell you what that is tomorrow. A study found that the average guy gets anxiety, and there's a lot of things that could spike your anxiety today. And it could be what's happening at work. It could be something happens after work. And there's something that happens outside of work that 21% of men get anxious over. And that's your tease to come back tomorrow because I'm out of time today. I appreciate all the comments out there. A lot of you agree that Jared Polis is protecting the gangbangers in Colorado. And never forget the people that died beheaded. Remember Jared Polis. What would have happened if Jared Polis would have stepped in and helped solve the problem in Aurora? How many lives would have been saved? Jared Polis lied and people died. And he wants to be your next president. And Colorado's elected him twice. Disgraceful. I got to go. You missed me already, don't you? Delilah, we out of here? Roll the tape, somebody. Oh, I got to play. I got to hit the button. It's my job. That's my job. Roll the music. There it is. The music is there. Thanks to the Jimmy Lakey Mass Choir for kicking off the show with a great jingle at the beginning. Producer Chad for giving 110% today. 110. Matter of fact, I think producer Chad almost hit 111%. No, it wasn't 112. He definitely did not give 112%. But I think producer Chad gave 111% today. And he's going to get the same damn paycheck that Delilah gets for about 40%. God bless you. God bless America. I'll see you tomorrow. And don't forget riverspromise.org. Riverspromise.org. I am Jimmy Lakey. God bless you. Peace. I'm out of here.